The prospect of using a compass underwater intimidates a lot of divers. Words such as azimuth, bearing, heading, and reciprocal don't make matters any easier. Nevertheless, the fact remains that even though we find our way underwater primarily by natural navigation, compass navigation is a skill that every diver needs. Well, relax. We're about to make things simple. Let's take a look at some of the features of a simple mechanical compass. Of course, the heart of any compass is the north needle, which is generally mounted on a compass card. As long as the compass is being held level and the compass card can turn freely, the needle will point to magnetic north. Surrounding the compass card will be a rotating bezel with degree headings. An important feature of the bezel are two index marks, which are meant to align with the north needle. Opposite these, most compasses will have a reciprocal mark, which is used to return to your starting point. The other important feature of a compass is the center line, also known as a lubber line. One of the keys to compass use is to always keep the center line of the compass in line with the center line of your body. Some divers prefer to use their compass's side reading window, if so equipped. This is a relatively simple mechanism. A single index mark allows you to read the direction in which the compass is pointed in degrees. An increasingly popular type of compass is a digital compass, a feature built into many dive computers. Exactly how these work will vary by make and model, but in general, they work very much like a side-reading mechanical compass. Using a compass involves three things: setting the compass, holding the compass, and following the compass. Let's take a look at each. Here's how you set a simple mechanical compass. Start by aiming the compass at your intended destination. Allow the north needle to settle, and then rotate the bezel so that the index marks match the north needle. Now when you go underwater, if the index marks are aligned with the north needle, you'll know that the compass is pointed in the right direction. By the way, you don't actually set most side reading or digital compasses. You simply aim them in the direction you want to go and note the degree heading that matches up with the index marks. If you reestablish this underwater, the compass is pointing in the same direction as it was before. A big factor in how you hold the compass is how the compass is mounted. Now, by far the most common means of compass mounting is to have the compass on an instrument console. This offers a number of benefits, including the fact it's easy to hold the compass and to keep it aligned with the center of your body. Most consoles allow you to monitor depth at the same time as you do direction. And should you need to let go with one hand to make a buoyancy adjustment, you can easily hang on to the compass with the remaining hand. Now, some divers don't like the weight and the bulk associated with consoles. Still other divers dive in a place such as a freshwater spring where a compass simply isn't necessary. Still others dive on wrecks where the metal wreck would interfere with compass operation. If you find yourself in one of these categories, you may want to consider mounting your compass on a retractor. Now, this snaps to your BCD rings, and when you need to use the compass, you simply pull it out and use it much the same as you would a console-mounted compass. When you're done, let go. The compass snaps back in position. The snap allows you to share the compass with another diver. If you do any degree of underwater map making, you may want to consider mounting your compass on a slate. Now, this allows for very accurate compass use because it's not only easier to hold the compass level, it's also easier to keep the extended center line aligned with the center line of your body. It also gives you a place to write down survey data. You don't tend to see slate-mounted compasses that often among recreational divers. They're more the realm of military divers and underwater archaeologists. The most basic compasses come with a simple wrist strap. And while this can work, it does have some fairly serious limitations, which we'll talk about shortly. The easiest way to hold a console, slate, or retractor mounted compass is out in front of you with two hands. Now this makes it pretty easy to keep the compass aligned with the center line of your body, and should you need to make a buoyancy adjustment, you can let go with one hand while holding the compass with the other. Now if you have a wrist-mounted mechanical compass, or a digital compass built into a wrist-mounted dive computer, you're going to have to do something like this, where you cross one arm in front of you and try to keep the center line of the compass aligned with the center line of your body. Now, as you can see, the problem here is that you can think the center line is properly lined up when it's actually off a few degrees. Additionally, this tends to tie up your hands, making it harder to keep buoyancy under control. Following a simple mechanical compass underwater is fairly easy. To start, you want to keep the compass level, because if the compass isn't level, the compass card can lock up and not turn. As you know, one of the cardinal rules of compass use is to keep the center line of the compass always in line with the center line of your body. Now, you'll want to turn your body until the north needle is centered within the two index marks. Having done this, you just keep the needle in the index marks while you swim. Using a side reading or digital compass is much the same, except that you keep the right degree heading aligned with a single index mark. If you need to use your compass to return to your starting point underwater, you'll have to run what's known as a reciprocal course. Now, this is pretty easy to do. If you're using a top reading mechanical compass, you don't even need to reset the bezel. Just turn until the north needle aligns with the reciprocal mark. Okay, what if your compass doesn't have a reciprocal mark? No problem. Just align the south end of the north needle with the two index marks. Now, if you're using a side reading or digital compass, it's a little bit different. If your original heading was less than 180 degrees, just add 180 degrees to it. If it was more than 180 degrees, just subtract 180 degrees to get your reciprocal heading. If you're going to use a compass underwater, it's important you understand its limitations. Now, chief among these is distance. Even when you do everything correctly, it's not unusual to be off by about 10 to 15 degrees. So the longer you swim, the more likely you are to miss your intended destination. So for this reason, you should avoid long compass swims. For similar reasons, you also want to avoid multi-leg compass patterns. Now, as part of your course, your instructor will have you swim a very small rectangular pattern. But this is mostly to gain practice with a compass. With the exception of one situation we're going to talk about later, there really is very little practical application from multi-leg compass courses, so you want to avoid them whenever possible. If the visibility is good, there's something you can do that can substantially increase the accuracy of your compass courses. And what that is that if you see that your compass is pointed at a distant object, such as a rock or coral formation, don't waste time blindly following the compass, simply swim to the object. Repeat this as many times as you can, and you'll greatly increase the overall accuracy of your compass course.